Stop whatever you're doing right now, because the hip-hop world may have just crossed into its messiest chapter yet. Imagine waking up, opening social media, and seeing one of rap's most famous families implode in real time, all because a son decided he was finally done staying quiet. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what people online say happened when King Harris, the outspoken son of rap veteran T.I. and singer Tiny Harris, jumped on a live stream and dropped a claim so wild that it instantly sent shockwaves across the internet, and the name at the center of the chaos? None other than hip-hop's most notorious internet troll, business mogul, and self-appointed king of petty, 50 Cent. According to clips that began circulating everywhere, King Harris hinted at what he described as secret nights involving 50 Cent and his own mother, Tiny, a statement that had fans gasping, bloggers scrambling, and meme pages working overtime. Was this a shocking confession? A family meltdown? Or just another explosive moment in hip-hop's never-ending soap opera? Within minutes, timelines exploded. Comment sections turned into digital courtrooms. And the biggest questions started echoing everywhere. Did King Harris just expose a hidden chapter of rap history? Or did he accidentally hand 50 Cent the ultimate trolling opportunity? Because if there's one thing the internet knows about 50 Cent, it's that he never, ever stays quiet when his name gets dragged into the drama. The moment the live stream started, most people thought it was going to be just another late-night rant. After all, the internet has seen plenty of celebrity kids vent online before. But what happened next was something completely different. Within minutes, the name of 50 Cent was suddenly being thrown into the middle of a family drama involving T.I., Tiny Harris, and their son King Harris. And once that name entered the conversation, the situation went from awkward family tension to full-blown internet chaos. King Harris looked straight into the camera with the kind of frustration that people online quickly described as years of bottled-up emotion. His tone wasn't calm. It wasn't playful. It sounded like someone who felt he had been carrying a secret for a very long time. At first, he talked about how people constantly label him as spoiled or privileged. According to him, outsiders see the luxury lifestyle, the expensive cars, the big house, and they assume everything is perfect. But King insisted that what people see on the outside is very different from what actually happens behind closed doors. The comment section began filling up rapidly as thousands of viewers tuned in. Some people expected another typical rant about family pressure or fame, but then King said something that instantly froze the chat. He mentioned late nights, private visits, and a situation involving his own mother and someone his father has had a complicated history with. When he finally dropped the name of 50 Cent, the internet practically exploded. For years, fans have known that T.I. and 50 Cent share a tense relationship. It has never been an all-out war like some legendary rap beefs, but the rivalry has always been there under the surface. Both artists built massive careers. Both dominated different eras of hip-hop, and both have strong personalities that don't exactly blend well together. That history is what made King's claim feel even more shocking to viewers. As soon as the clips started circulating online, social media detectives immediately began digging through old interviews, photos, and event appearances. People pulled up pictures of Tiny and 50 Cent from industry events that happened years ago. In normal circumstances, those images would look completely harmless. But now, because of King's words, fans began analyzing every detail as if they were trying to solve a mystery. Some viewers believed King was simply venting in the heat of the moment. Others argued that nobody would say something that explosive about their own family unless there was some truth behind it. The debate spread across platforms within hours. One side insisted that King Harris had finally exposed something that had been hidden for years. The other side accused him of crossing a line by dragging his mother into public controversy. Meanwhile, people started asking a bigger question. Why now? Why would King suddenly decide to reveal something this personal to the entire world? To understand that question, you have to look at the complicated relationship between King and his father. T.I. Over the years, their relationship has occasionally played out in public. There have been moments where the two appeared to clash over lifestyle choices, independence, and the pressure of growing up under the spotlight of a famous last name. Some fans remember the arguments that surfaced online when King tried to prove that he wasn't just living off his father's success. At different times, he hinted that people underestimated him and assumed he had never experienced real struggles. Those comments created a narrative that King was trying to step out of his father's shadow and build his own identity, but during this particular live stream, the conversation felt much deeper than a typical father-son disagreement. King's words sounded like someone who believed he had witnessed things that changed the way he looked at his family forever. He began describing moments from years ago when, according to him, the atmosphere in the house would suddenly shift. He talked about nights where conversations would stop when he entered the room. He hinted at situations where certain visitors would appear unexpectedly and then disappear before morning. While he never provided direct proof during the live stream, his storytelling was vivid enough to spark curiosity across the internet. Viewers immediately began speculating about the timeline he was referencing. Some fans pointed out that there were periods in the past when T.I. was dealing with legal issues and spending time away from home. Those years became the focus of countless theories posted online. One viral comment summed up the chaos perfectly. The user wrote that if even half of what King was implying turned out to be true, it would completely change how people view one of hip-hop's most well-known families. At the center of all this speculation was Tiny Harris, a woman who has spent decades in the music industry building her own reputation. Before becoming widely known as part of the Harris family brand, she was already famous as a member of the R&B group Xscape and as a songwriter responsible for major hits. Her career success made the allegations even more controversial because many fans saw her as someone who had always maintained a strong public image. As the live stream continued, King made it clear that he was tired of what he described as the difference between the family's public image and their private reality. According to him, people constantly praised the Harris household as a symbol of loyalty and unity, but he suggested that the real story might be far more complicated. Those comments immediately caught the attention of hip-hop bloggers and entertainment channels. Headlines began appearing within minutes, each one more dramatic than the last. Some framed the situation as a shocking betrayal. Others treated it as the latest episode in a never-ending celebrity drama. But the biggest reason the story kept spreading was the name that King repeated several times during his rant: 50 Cent. Anyone familiar with hip-hop culture knows that 50 Cent has built a reputation as one of the most fearless and sarcastic personalities in the industry. He doesn't just respond to controversy, he thrives on it. Over the years, he has turned social media into a battlefield where he mocks rivals, trolls critics, and sometimes even laughs at situations that would make most celebrities stay silent. Their reputation is exactly why fans immediately started tagging him in the viral clips of King's live stream. Thousands of comments appeared under his posts asking the same question: what does 50 Cent think about this? Some people predicted he would ignore it to avoid escalating a family issue, but longtime followers of 50 Cent's online behavior knew that silence has never really been his style. While the internet waited for his reaction, the Harris household appeared to go quiet. Neither T.I. nor Tiny immediately released a detailed statement. That silence only fueled more speculation. The longer the family stayed quiet, the more people wondered whether King's accusations had touched on something they were not ready to address publicly. Fans began rewatching the live stream frame by frame, trying to decode every sentence King had spoken. Some believed he was hinting at years of hidden tension within the family. Others believed he was simply venting frustration in the most explosive way possible. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, entertainment insiders started sharing anonymous comments with bloggers. One unnamed source claimed that the situation inside the Harris family had been tense for quite some time and that King's public outburst might have been the result of a long-building emotional conflict. Another source insisted the entire situation was being exaggerated online and that family disagreements should never be taken as evidence of some massive hidden Scandal. But by that point, the story had already grown far beyond a simple disagreement. It had become a full-scale internet investigation fueled by speculation, old rivalries, and the unpredictable nature of social media. As more people joined the conversation, the pressure continued building for one person in particular, the man whose name had been repeated again and again throughout the viral clips. The man known for turning every controversy into entertainment. 50 Cent had not spoken yet, but the entire internet was watching his pages, waiting for the moment he would finally react. And if history has taught hip-hop fans anything, it's that when 50 Cent decides to enter a conversation like this, the drama usually gets 10 times bigger. By the time the clips of the live stream had been reposted across every corner of social media, the story had already taken on a life of its own. Bloggers were uploading breakdown videos, fan pages were stitching together old photos, and gossip forums were buzzing with theories that grew wilder by the minute. But the one person everyone was watching had still not said a single word. 50 Cent. Anyone who has followed 50 Cent over the years knows that silence from him usually means only one thing. He's watching, waiting, letting the story grow before he decides how to flip it into something even bigger. That strategy has made him one of the most unpredictable figures in hip-hop, especially when it comes to online drama. Meanwhile, the name that had started the entire chaos kept trending alongside King Harris, Tiny Harris, and T.I. Thousands of people were now revisiting moments from the past, looking for anything that might support or contradict King's claims. One viral thread showed photos from old industry parties where 50 Cent and Tiny happened to be in the same room. In normal circumstances, those images would mean absolutely nothing. The music industry is full of artists attending the same events, performing on the same stages, and appearing in the same photos. But because of the allegations spreading online, people were suddenly treating those old pictures like evidence from a crime scene, comment sections filled with armchair detectives debating timelines. Some fans argued that King's story seemed suspiciously specific. Others insisted that a young man venting on social media shouldn't be treated as a reliable source of information about something so serious, but the conversation kept getting louder, and eventually it reached the point where ignoring it would almost be impossible. That's when something happened that made the internet collectively lean forward. 50 Cent posted. The post itself was simple, almost deceptively casual. It was a screenshot of a headline about King Harris's outburst, but the caption was classic 50 Cent sarcasm. Instead of directly addressing the allegations, he joked about how chaotic family arguments can become when they are broadcast to millions of people online. At first glance, it looked like harmless trolling, but the real reason the post exploded was what he didn't say. He never actually denied anything. He never confirmed anything either. He simply shifted the focus toward the fact that a son was publicly exposing family drama. That small detail was enough to send the rumor mill into overdrive again. Some viewers interpreted his response as a clever way of avoiding the question altogether. Others believed the lack of a clear denial meant there might be more to the story than people realized. Within minutes, new headlines began appearing, suggesting that 50 Cent's reaction had only deepened the mystery surrounding the allegations. And if there's one thing 50 Cent understands better than most celebrities, it's how to control the narrative without saying too much. The situation escalated further when he followed up with another post. This time he shared an old photo from years earlier that included Tiny at an industry event. Again, there was nothing scandalous about the image itself, but in the context of King Harris's accusations, fans immediately began analyzing it like investigators, examining security footage, the caption that accompanied. The photo was filled with the type of playful sarcasm that has become 50 Cent's trademark online voice. He joked about how people on the internet love creating stories out of old pictures and memories. But once again, he avoided addressing the central claim directly. The result was exactly what he likely expected. Instead of calming the situation, his post poured gasoline on the fire. Within hours, memes started flooding social media. Some portrayed the situation like a soap opera. Others mocked the entire controversy as another example of how quickly internet rumors can spiral out of control. But even the jokes couldn't hide the fact that the Harris family was now at the center of one of the most talked about controversies in the hip-hop world. Inside the Harris camp, the silence that had initially surrounded the situation began to crack. Tiny Harris posted a short message, suggesting that people should mind their own business and stop spreading rumors about her family. The message didn't mention King directly, but the timing made it clear who she was responding to. That statement sparked another round of debate. Supporters argued that she had every right to defend herself against rumors. Critics argued that addressing the situation at all might unintentionally make the speculation stronger. Meanwhile, King Harris was far from finished speaking. In another live session, he appeared visibly frustrated by the way his earlier comments had been interpreted. According to him, people were twisting his words and turning a personal story into internet entertainment. But at the same time, he insisted that he wasn't going to apologize for speaking his truth. Those words only added another layer to the controversy. Fans began arguing over whether King was revealing a hidden reality or simply venting emotions in the heat of the moment. For T.I., the situation was becoming increasingly complicated. Known throughout hip-hop as a leader figure and someone who often speaks about responsibility and respect, he suddenly found himself watching a family conflict unfold in front of millions of people. Eventually, he addressed the situation briefly in a video message. His tone was noticeably calmer than the chaotic conversation happening online. Instead of engaging with the rumors directly, he focused on expressing disappointment that personal family issues were being discussed publicly. To some viewers, his response sounded like the words of a father trying to protect his household from public scrutiny. To others, the lack of a direct denial about the specific allegations left even more questions hanging in the air. Meanwhile, 50 Cent continued doing what he has done throughout his career whenever controversy appears at his doorstep. He turned it into entertainment. He began liking comments that joked about the situation. He reposted memes that referenced the viral clips. And every time he interacted with the story, the conversation exploded again across social media. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on longtime fans. For years, 50 Cent had built a reputation as someone who never misses an opportunity to troll rivals or critics. Now he was being dragged into a deeply personal family dispute, and he was treating it like another episode of internet theater. But behind the humor and sarcasm, the tension surrounding the Harris family continued to grow. Every interview from the past was suddenly being re-examined. Every photo from old industry events was being analyzed. Every statement from anyone connected to the situation was being interpreted as a possible clue, and as the internet kept digging for answers, the central question remained unresolved. Was King Harris exposing a secret that had been hidden for years? Or had one emotional livestream simply created the biggest rumor storm hip-hop had seen in a long time? No one seemed to have a clear answer yet, but one thing was becoming obvious. The situation was no longer just a family disagreement or a moment of online drama. It had evolved into a full-scale cultural conversation about loyalty, reputation, and the unpredictable consequences of airing private conflicts in public. And as the pressure continued building from every direction, the Harris family was now facing the most difficult part of the entire saga, the aftermath. The aftermath began quietly at first, almost like the calm that settles in after a massive storm. The hashtags were still trending, the memes were still circulating, but the explosive energy of the initial live stream had started to transform into something deeper and far more uncomfortable. What had started as one viral moment from King Harris had now evolved into a long-running conversation that the entire hip-hop community seemed unable to ignore. For T.I. and Tiny Harris, the damage wasn't just about online comments or gossip headlines. Their public image had always revolved around the idea of unity. Fans had watched their relationship for years through music, interviews, and reality television appearances, where the couple presented themselves as a strong, loyal team navigating fame together. That brand of family loyalty had become part of their identity in the entertainment world. Now, The carefully built image was suddenly under intense scrutiny. Entertainment blogs started publishing long opinion pieces questioning whether the Harris family had always been as solid as they appeared. Commentators debated whether King's livestream had exposed real cracks in the foundation or whether it simply reflected the frustration of a young man growing up in the spotlight. The truth seemed harder to pin down with each passing day. Meanwhile, the internet continued doing what it always does during celebrity controversies. It kept digging. Old interviews featuring 50 Cent resurfaced. Clips from past radio shows and podcast appearances began circulating again. In some of those older conversations, 50 had joked about rival rappers, relationships in the music industry, and the chaotic nature of fame itself. None of those clips proved anything related to King's accusations. But they were enough to keep speculation alive, and speculation was exactly what fueled the next stage of the story. Fans started dividing themselves into two clear camps. One group believed that King Harris had finally revealed something that had been hidden for years. They argued that no son would publicly embarrass his own family unless he believed there was a deeper truth behind his words. According to this group, King's frustration looked genuine and emotionally raw. The other group saw the situation very differently. They believed the live stream was simply an impulsive reaction from someone dealing with pressure, fame, and personal conflicts. To them, the entire controversy was proof of how quickly rumors can explode when social media turns private family arguments into public entertainment. Caught between those two narratives was Tiny Harris herself. For someone who had spent decades building her reputation as an artist, songwriter, and entrepreneur, the sudden wave of accusations was more than just embarrassing gossip. Online critics began dissecting every detail of her past interactions with industry figures. Innocent photographs from award shows and backstage events were now being framed as suspicious by people eager to connect dots that may not have existed in the first place. In response, Tiny began posting more carefully worded messages on social media. None of them addressed the allegations directly. Instead, they focused on themes of loyalty, family strength, and resilience in the face of negativity. Supporters flooded the comments with encouragement, while critics continued pressing for a clearer explanation. Meanwhile, King Harris seemed determined not to back down. Rather than disappearing from the spotlight after the initial backlash, he continued posting cryptic messages hinting that people only knew a fraction of the truth. Those posts didn't provide any concrete evidence, but they kept the conversation alive. Each new message sparked another wave of speculation and reaction videos across YouTube and TikTok. For T.I., the situation had become a delicate balancing act. On one side was his role as a father trying to protect his family from further public conflict. On the other side was his reputation as a veteran figure in hip-hop who had spent years speaking about respect, leadership, and accountability. During one appearance at a public event, observers noticed that his normally confident demeanor seemed more reserved. He didn't address the controversy directly, but the tension was visible. Reporters attempted to ask questions, but the answers remained diplomatic and cautious. Behind the scenes, industry insiders began discussing another potential consequence of the controversy: business partnerships. In the modern entertainment industry, celebrity reputation is closely tied to brand deals, television projects, and sponsorship agreements. When major controversies appear, companies often become nervous about their associations. Rumors began circulating that certain collaborations involving the Harris family were being quietly reviewed by corporate partners. None of those reports were officially confirmed, but they added another layer of pressure to an already complicated situation. Through all of this, one person appeared almost untouched by the chaos: 50 Cent. After fueling the conversation with his sarcastic posts and memes, he gradually shifted his attention back to his own projects. Promotions for his television shows, business ventures, and upcoming productions began filling his social media feed again. It was a move that longtime observers recognized instantly. This was classic 50 Cent strategy. He had stepped into the drama, stirred the conversation just enough to keep it alive, and then casually walked away while the controversy continued spinning on its own. In the world of hip-hop rivalries, that kind of psychological maneuver has always been part of his playbook. Fans noticed the shift almost immediately. One day his posts were joking about the viral allegations, and the next day he was promoting a new television episode as if nothing unusual had happened. But even though 50 Cent appeared to move on, the shadow of the controversy remained over the Harris family. The real challenge now was not proving or disproving any specific claim. It was rebuilding trust in the public eye. In the entertainment world, perception can sometimes matter more than facts. Once a rumor reaches millions of people, it can become part of a celebrity's narrative, whether it is true or not. Weeks after the original live stream, the internet was still discussing the situation. Debate videos continued appearing online. Commentators offered new theories. Some people insisted the story would eventually fade away like many viral controversies before it. Others believed it had permanently changed the way fans viewed the Harris family. At the center of everything stood King Harris. Still unpredictable and still speaking his mind. To some viewers he looked like a rebellious young man refusing to stay silent about what he believed to be the truth. To others he looked like someone caught in the emotional chaos that often comes with growing up in a famous household. Either way, one thing had become clear: the story had moved far beyond a simple livestream rant. It had become a cultural moment that touched on themes much bigger than celebrity gossip. Loyalty, family dynamics, reputation, and the dangerous power of social media were all tangled together in one messy narrative. And while the headlines may eventually move on to the next controversy, the consequences of that single live stream may continue echoing through the Harris family for years, because in the modern world of viral clips and instant reactions, sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a diss track, a lawsuit, or even a rival artist. Sometimes it's simply the words spoken by someone inside your own home. So after everything we just unpacked, the real question still hangs in the air. What actually happened behind the scenes of the Harris household? Did King Harris really reveal something the public was never supposed to hear about? Or did one emotional livestream simply ignite the biggest rumor storm hip-hop has seen in years? And what about 50 Cent? Was his reaction just classic trolling, or was there a deeper reason he chose not to shut the rumors down completely? For T.I. and Tiny Harris, the stakes are clearly bigger than internet jokes and viral clips. Their reputation, their family image, and even their legacy in the music industry are now being debated by millions of people who may never know the full truth. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think King Harris exposed something real that the public was never meant to know? Or do you believe this entire situation is just another example of how quickly social media can turn family drama into worldwide controversy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the wildest stories shaking the hip-hop world right now, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with someone who follows hip-hop drama, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Because if this situation evolves again, you already know we'll be here breaking down every detail.